This is your boy Lord Thaddeus Cray. This one is going to be one that I think is going to be pretty fun to do. I've been kind of biding my time, as you guys know. My desktop kind of went kaput. I admit it was kind of some user error. I was trying to tinker around with things that I should not have been. But moving on past that, I have a laptop now and it's working for the most part. So I'm hoping I should be able to get up and moving around like I was before with this stuff, my projects. I just have to wait for something to come in the mail. So hopefully I'll be able to use my headset instead of using this blasted phone all the time. Alright, what's this one going to be about, as I said? It's going to be about something that I mentioned before. But it's going to be a little bit different at the same time. It's connected to Bigfoot. And I have definitely mentioned this variant before. But at the same time, I haven't really gone into too much detail about it. I'm talking about the Genoskwa. What the hell is a Genoskwa, you're probably wondering. Well, I'll tell you what, one thing I do know. It is ugly, very hungry, and pretty much probably thinks of you as a Big Mac. I mean, yeah, just facts. These things are notoriously deadly, vicious, hungry, and they pretty much think of you as dinner. What makes them different than other Bigfoot? You have to understand something. Many of these things have been seen in the wilds of Canada and Alaska, and other parts of the states near the northern areas, the territories up there. I'm going to tell you right now, why would something be so big? I mean, it's obviously, these things are massive. They're much bigger than your average Bigfoot. There have been sightings of these things ranging from like anywhere from 10 to 12 feet tall. They're huge, vicious, and very dangerous, extremely carnivorous, intelligent, and many of the tribes in those areas of the indigenous folk have all kinds of stories of these things. They're called the Stone Men as well. Why is this? Now think about it. Like I said, these boys are pretty smart. And what I mean by that is they seem to have understanding of what happens if, let's say, something with a lot of hair or fur, such as this variant of the Bigfoot, they roll around in the dirt. And what they do is this seems to form like a type of armor against their skin. So you gotta think about this. Many of the old tribesmen would tell about, their warriors going against these things. And of course, arrows don't do much against something that's kind of, has stone or pebbles and rock embedded into their skin from them rolling around in it. That's scary stuff. And also, I've seen pictures of these things supposedly carrying weapons and stuff like that. Now, I'm not so sure about that one. I do know and firmly believe that the Googwee seems to have that kind of inclination. And possibly even wears pelts and things like that. I don't know about these creatures. But I do know that they're a lot larger than your normal Bigfoot. And they're a lot meaner. Look up a guy, he goes by Duke. He claims to have seen one. I think his channel is, I want to say World Bigfoot Radio or something like that. The guy, he was the one that really opened my eyes to the Genoskwa. They're also called the Wendigo in another way, in another spelling than the normal Wendigo, which we're all familiar with. The cannibalism curse or that kind of thing. No, this is different. But either way, these creatures are notorious for being mainly carnivorous, and they definitely have a hankering for any kind of meat they can get a hold of, including you. So you gotta think about this. It's obvious that these things are very intelligent, very aggressive, violent, and just dangerous. Do I think they're evil incarnate? I'm not so sure about that. I think they're definitely creatures that have evolved as like other types of primate sort of beings or humanoid creatures. That in this fashion they have probably had to adapt and become hunters. These creatures are hunter-gatherer types, obviously. They definitely have no qualms about, like I said, getting their hands dirty. Supposedly, stories even have these things of their teeth not being like the normal, rounded teeth. I'll give you an example. Take a look at a gorilla. Yeah, they have sharp teeth. And their bite force is pretty impressive, terrifying, actually. But for the most part, other than their canines, their teeth are rounded. Supposedly the Genoskwa has, I'm pretty sure they do have, for the most part, molars and all that. but supposedly they have much sharper teeth, like almost rows of teeth. Some people describe these things as having. And something like that is not a normal thing, unless it is a creature that is a hyper-carnivore of some sorts. And again, why do things get so large in cold climates? You have to think about this. There's a couple of reasons. Vol said this himself. For something to be more successful, sometimes it has to be bigger to be more successful, especially when it comes to hunting animals. Animals up north are very large compared to the ones down here in the south. So, of course, if you're a predator, you have to grow larger in order to be able to take such things down. Also, you have to think about this. Larger bodies give off more heat. And to be able to handle the cold, think about the polar bear, for example. Those bears are huge. Kodiak bears, huge. I mean, I'm just using these as examples, of course. They are huge. They have to be in order to handle the cold climate. That way their body generates more heat, they have thick layers of fur, etc., etc. I think the Genoskwa is this kind of a variant of Bigfoot that is adapted into the extreme cold. And of course, well, if you have to live in that kind of environment, you ain't going to be friendly to nobody. And that's just how it is. I do believe firmly that these things possibly are responsible for a lot of the missing 411 cases out there. Not all. Probably not even the majority. Probably actually a very small, if any amount. But I do believe there's something going on there. I'm just letting you know. You have people that go missing up in them northern woods like you wouldn't believe. And I believe, of course, that something like the Genoskwa probably wouldn't have an issue of making that possibility of you vanishing down the hatch in no time at all. I'm just going to say it that way. Do I believe these creatures are very interesting compared to the regular Bigfoot? Yeah. I mean, I've always been fascinated by predatory creatures anyway. But I'll tell you right now, this is one I would not desire to meet, and I hope I never do. Do I believe these creatures exist? Well, obviously, or else I wouldn't be covering it too much. I'm just going to leave it at that. You guys know what I do. I'm the producer for the Dark Waters brand. If you've had a cryptid sighting or a supernatural experience, hit me up at westvic@dogmancams.com. I still use the email. Or my business email, westvic137@gmail.com. Hit me up there if you want to. But either way, you guys know what I do, and if you want the chance to have your story shared or share your story, mainly on Sean's sofa right now, chasing the truth, but that's just how it is. If you desire that chance, I'll make sure you get it. But either way, you guys be blessed and you be safe.